In Photoshop CS6, typography has never been more powerful. The selection of typefaces, however, is truly an art. We're going to start with the Type tool. And if you click and hold or right-click on the Type tool, you'll see you have four choices. Horizontal type, which we'll use now, vertical for going straight up and down, and two that create selections. They can be used for special effects, but I really never use them. I mostly stick with the horizontal type tool, or in certain cases I might want vertical type. So with the horizontal type tool, I'm going to create point type. Point type means I simply click once anywhere on my image or my Photoshop document, and it creates a line of type from that spot on where you clicked. And we're working on a fictitious app for a mobile device or a device. Could be a tablet, could be a smartphone. And I'm calling it Feed Me Siri. Now you'll notice how small the type is. It's difficult to see. So I'll choose Select All, but I'm more likely to do Command A or Control A. So once I select all, a very unique and cool feature in Photoshop is scrubby sliders. In fact, Illustrator CS6 now has these, and so do many of the video apps. With scrubby sliders, I can click and drag up diagonally. If you try to drag straight right or straight left, it doesn't respond as smoothly, but I can click and drag up diagonally to visually make this bigger or smaller. And I'm going to leave it on the font Myriad Pro when we're finished, because that's very close to the default font of my smartphone. However, if you'd like to experiment with typefaces, you're looking for just the right typeface to convey a message, you could click in the word Myriad or in the name of the font anywhere, and on your keyboard, hit your up arrow key or down arrow key to go alphabetically through every font on your system. In some cases, this may stop when it encounters a symbol font, so you can click the arrow to the right and skip past a symbol font, like Marlette. So when I went to the next one, I could continue to hit my up arrow key to go up alphabetically, or I can use the wheel on my mouse to wheel up and wheel down to play with fonts. So many different ways to do this. You do have your type menu where you can actually bring up your character panel or paragraph panel. And now in Photoshop CS6, there are styles. But rather than bring them up one at a time, I'm going to go back to Myriad Pro and I hit MY or MYR, typing the first couple letters of the font that you want, and pressing Return or Enter will make that change. The style is to your right. So here I could see I'm on Condensed. I'm going to select Regular. My size is 91, and this is something you could set visually. And the next choice you have here is Sharp. Now before we go too far, I'm going to switch to my Move tool. By going to my Move tool, I can now see, instead of the Essentials workspace, we might want to be on Typography. By selecting Typography, it brings up the Character panel, the Paragraph panel, and also Paragraph and Character styles. So I will click back on Character, and I will hit the letter T on my keyboard for type. And when I go to select my text, you don't want to see this cursor, technically called the I beam, because your cursor looks like the letter I. If you see this and you click, I've actually created another type layer. I'm going to hit Escape, or you can click up here to cancel. I really don't want a new type layer. I want to aim my cursor until the I beam shows by itself without the arrow and the box around it, the dotted lines. When I'm here, it's best not to aim for the beginning or end of the word because you might miss. Aim anywhere in the middle. And a double click will select the word. A triple click will select the entire line. But working your way across the control panel, you'll see you have options for anti-aliasing. Anti-aliasing makes smooth type. It does blending of your background and the text so it looks smoother on screen. And the default anti-aliasing method is sharp. But I've built for you 2 example documents, and I'm actually going to drag this over to the left side of my screen so I can split them side by side. I look for that blue bar to pop up, and now I could see anti-alias white-black and anti-alias black-white. And what I've set up for you here is each anti-aliasing method: smooth, strong, crisp, sharp, and none. And I've done it in large type as well as small type. Which technique of anti-aliasing or which method of anti-aliasing you select may depend on whether you're doing italic type, or whether you have dark text on a light background, or light text on a dark background. And again, I was on my type tool and inadvertently made a new layer. You will do that often. It's okay that you do that. I'll just hit escape to cancel that instead of clicking cancel. But as I look through these, I find myself typically drawn to crisp in most circumstances. Smooth is my second favorite, but you'll find that you lean towards one or the other. I do know for a fact I do not like no anti-aliasing. There you can really see jagged, rough edges, unless I'm doing a special effect like an old school look of the Space Invaders game where you can see every giant square pixel. I use it for special effects sometimes, or to give the idea of old computers or something ancient. But ideally, I want my text to be readable. That's the goal of text. Draw the reader to the appropriate spot on the page and make it easily readable or legible. To finish this, I'm going to come back to my iPhone app mockup that we're creating, and I will right-click or control-click and choose Consolidate All to here, so that Feed Me Siri is in front and the other 2 are in the background. Now, I'm not using styles yet because text only exists on one spot on the page, so I will double-click Paragraph Styles to collapse it. What I want to do is center this text to the app, and I'll visually position everything else. If you're editing text, you actually do not need to switch to the Move tool to move it. You simply move above or below, and now I can position this where I'd like it. If I'm in the letters, it's actually just moving my flashing cursor, or double-click or triple-click will select. But anywhere outside the letters, and I'm moving the entire block. To align this text perfectly centered, I'm going to go to my Move tool, and on the Mac, hold down Command, or on Windows, hold down Control and click Background. Since my background is locked and it is the entire size of this mockup, I can go to my Options bar across the top of the screen and perfectly center the words Feed Me Siri. Then I could go back to my Type tool and click once to go back into text edit mode and triple click to select the text. Centering here only centers from the initial point you clicked on, and since there isn't more than one line of type, left alignment will be fine. Centering to the layer is actually much more important in Photoshop. And finally, before I commit to this text, I do want to make sure every letter space looks even. It makes more readable text. So in the character panel, I will choose optical kerning. Optical kerning kicks in an engine in Photoshop which goes above and beyond the kerning pairs built by the font vendor, if any, and does better letter spacing. I always prefer it, and I always turn it on. I'm going to go back to my Move tool, and now that the letter spaces have changed, I'll hold down Command or Control to select my background with the Feed Me Siri text, and I'll center again. And that is the end of my brief tour of putting type in, sizing type, selecting your fonts. Take some time to work along with this video and experiment with the settings in the Options bar for type. Try the scrubby sliders on size and experiment with your anti-aliasing methods until you feel comfortable setting type in Photoshop on your own.